Hello everyone, in this video we're going to be talking about a new series that we're going to be bringing out. We're going to take two commanders and put them together and make a build out of them. There's tons of videos on this channel about commander pairings, commander mastery series guides on a single commander. We have the commander battle card series, which kind of outlines how valuable a certain pair is. But with this series, what we're going to do is we're actually going to take two commanders in the game and we're going to make a build out of them for an army. So this particular army on this video will be for shield throwing. We're going to be using this army to make shields for not only this army, but a bunch of armies around them. And this is going to be the best army pairing, the army build to do it with. So let's jump into it. Welcome back, everybody. Glad to have you still with me. Before we continue on the video, subscribing and hitting that like button really helps the channel out, and I super appreciate your support. What I'm doing with these new series of videos is that we're going to be putting together two commanders and giving them a purpose. And as you saw on the thumbnail, this is going to be the shield thrower build, okay? And what this is going to do, the premise is a couple fold. All right, a quick summary of the touch points for this video. First off, why are we going to make this army pairing? Next, we're going to go over the skills that make this build possible. Then we're going to talk about how this army is going to be used or how it should be used. Next, we're going to go over the commander order preference and why. Then we're going to go over the talent build. Then we're going to talk about accessories and equipment preferences. And then finally, at the end, we're going to summarize the benefits and the shortcomings of this army. So as this army is battling, we're going to talk about what this army is made for and why I kind of put it together. So I wanted to have an army that is going to cause a lot of damage. It's going to be self-sustaining. It's going to have a good value on the field for a lot of different reasons in KBK. But also, I wanted to have something very specialized, and that's what this build is going to be for. It is absolutely made to make your surroundings more survivable for your marches. So the point of this build is called Shield Thrower for a reason. Both of these commanders, they give shields to your other marches on the field. And if it's just this march for you, it will then assign those shields to other allies that are around you as well in a circular area. Let's talk about the skills and what makes this build so special. First off, let's start with Scipio because I think we all kind of know what shielding Alex does. But on the fourth skill of Scipio, he has a 50% chance when taking skill damage to not only reduce that skill damage by 30%, but also forming a shield that covers up to 3 allied troops for 3 seconds with a damage factor of 500. That's not bad. That's not a bad shield at all. It's about half the size of Charles, and the same thing with Alex, which we're about to go over to in a little bit. But again, it's not only going to cover you, but it's also going to cover up to 3 allied troops for 3 seconds. That's very strong. That in combination with Alex, where his first skill, and you do not need to have the expertise, although I would recommend expertising Alex, but for this purpose of throwing shields everywhere, you don't need to have him expertise. You just want to have his first skill maxed, which everybody should. But after he casts his first skill, you also have a smaller shield for allied troops, including your own, with the lowest percentage of units in the circular area of effect. This one lasts for 2 seconds and absorbs 600 damage factor shield. So again, the combination of both of these commanders put into a single march basically means this march is running around throwing shields on all of your marches that need it the most, with Alex putting the shield on the lowest health march that you have, and then with the Scipio shield again going on to up to 3 allied troops with a 500 damage factor shield. That's a combination of 2100 damage factor in shields coming off this combo march. Now let's talk about how this march should be used. I think the benefit of this march is the fact that it is very versatile. It can be used in almost every part of the game. It's great in Arc, it's great in Canyon. Something else to consider, it's great in murder ball situations as well as small skirmishes. I think the only 2 facets of the game that really don't lend itself to this march is garrison and rally, like main rally, especially in a bigger kingdom. Now, if you're in a C or a D kingdom, this actually wouldn't be a bad little secondary rally to throw out or something like that because of the amount of damage it does and the damage mitigation it does with all the shields that it provides. It's actually not a bad setup at all to go ahead and have this as again, a smaller kingdom with not a whole lot of whales. This could go a long way for a rally, but main purposes, murder ball, you're talking about small skirmishes. The new blockade system with this would be incredible. And again, Arc, Canyon, all of those would be very benefited by having this march. Now, how should we have this march ordered? Should Alex be primary? Should Scipio be primary? Why would you pick one or the other? Well, I prefer Scipio primary and then Alex secondary in this situation, and it's for a very specific reason. If we go to Scipio, we see that his talent trees are infantry, versatility, and support. A support talent tree is so nice when it comes to open field, damage mitigation, damage causing, speed on the open field, and then obviously rage generation. The support talent tree is very, very strong versus the attack tree, which really requires a lot more consistent fighting over a long period of time to shine. But you lose a lot of rage generation. You don't have a rejuvenate. You only have your, burning blood type of thing available for you, and that's really it. Support tree definitely better than the attack tree, in my opinion, for the purposes of this march. So I like Scipio being primary in this situation. Also, again, having Scipio do his AoE health debuff as a first option for his skills, and to me is a better option than having the shield go off first and then the AoE damage and health debuff from Scipio, just from a group benefit standpoint. But either one's fine. I personally prefer Scipio for that main reason alone. You want to have the rejuvenate tree versus not having the rejuvenate tree. And again, having hasty departure with infantry is very strong. It really helps these guys move a lot quicker than you would think. With hasty departure and with these two commanders in the same march, this march is very, very speedy. As you can see as well, this is the talent build for this pairing. And again, having Scipio primary, I was able to go full infantry tree, unlocking elite soldiers, which gives you 2.5% to attack, defense, and health right there for 5 points, for just 5 points to get that. You also have the extra health bonuses, the defense bonuses, the strong of body, 6% health bonus, which is very strong. You have the damage to cavalry, you have more rage generation, undying fury there, and burning blood there. You also have normal attack damage increase, and when you have 50% troop capacity, you increase your defense by 6% on all your troops as well. And of course, we just went over the support tree. You get the undying or the burning blood, rage generation. You have hasty departure, which has a lot of value. 60% march speed for 10 seconds when you leave a structure is really, really good. And then, of course, rejuvenate, 150 rage whenever a skill is used, and loose formation, one of the best skill damage reduction skills talents in the game. So you get a lot of value out of this tree, this combination of tree. And again, with Alex, you're kind of doing the same thing with getting the full infantry tree, but you lose rejuvenate, you lose loose formation, and you gain instead some more stats based on your star level, which should be 6 anyway. And then, of course, you get fight to the death possibly or something like that, which again, we've done Alex builds in the past. You guys can go check those out if you want to. But I prefer the support tree over the attack tree, and this is the build that I would use. All right, let's move on to equipment and accessories. Right now in front of you, I have the equipment for my Guan, which is, again, my third march or so of infantry, so it doesn't have the best gear yet, and this is actually why I wanted to showcase this first. I wanted to give you, if you're not a heavy spender and you don't have all procced out legendary equipment, a quick guide on kind of your first step into the infantry set of equipment. You've got windswept helm and chest, which give you a march speed bonus on both pieces, plus another troop attack bonus for the 2-piece set. You have one of the best blue weapons in the game with Gatekeeper Shield. You can easily proc it and get 10.5% infantry health, which is very strong. Again, Seth's Brutality, one of the best options here until you can start looking into getting the set piece for the gloves. And then, of course, Kerouac's Humility. This can actually be an endgame piece at 10.5% health. Although, again, if you go top tier, which I'll go into in a little bit, you can get a little more value with another piece. And then finally, Frost Treads. Again, huge value at 7.5% defense on infantry. And again, you eventually want to make that a set piece pair of boots to get yourself your 2-piece. And then you can move on to do other things in your other pieces, like what I'm about to show you. But this is your base set that you want to use from an equipment standpoint for any infantry march in the field. Now let's talk about top tier gear. Okay, so this is top tier gear for infantry. in the game right now. You can do a couple different swaps around if you want to make it a little bit different from a stat standpoint. But in all reality, this is going to be one of your best equipment sets for infantry in the game right now. If you look at all the pieces here, the set pieces that I went with were the helm and the gloves. Okay, so that gives me my 2-piece set, which gives me troop defense of 3% here. Now, for garrison, that's really all you would need to stop at, but if you so choose, you can go for the 4-piece for a 10% march speed bonus for open field. But again, you're going to lose some stats somewhere, okay? So first off, again, Hope Cloak is best in slot for your chest piece. It gives you 16% defense there. This is where you can kind of diverge a little bit. You can actually still have the Kerouac's Humility. You obviously can't iconic Kerouac's Humility because it is an epic piece, but you can iconic Eternal Night, which is a legendary piece. This is 16% defense plus 4% health, being procced and being an iconic pieced equipment on the pants. Now, again, boots, ideally you want these boots to be the set piece boots. You don't want the set piece to be the helmet. If you absolutely had to min-max everything, I would change the Shio's Return into the set piece boots, and then I would use the infantry helm that you find in the KBK shop and proc that and iconic that for this set. But I had both of these already procced. I didn't want to go through the legendary material use and blueprint use of resorting those two, and really the only difference is maybe about 3% or 4% defense increase if you go the other route. Again, that's the very, very most min-max that you can possibly get, but this is by far top 1% equipment on any infantry march that you would have. This is what you want to strive for with all of your infantry marches, but again, very difficult to do, very expensive to do, and you have to kind of let some of your other marches go, like I showed you with my Guan, right? This is serviceable, but to get to this level, really you should be doing this as a garrison player or an rally player, but you should kind of eventually want to get all your marches something like this. Not so much procced, but at least the pieces themselves. Now let's talk accessories. I think the most valuable, of course, is going to be the ring. The ring should be one of your accessory slots 100%. You should have the ring be one of your accessory slots for this. Now, as your other accessory being in the support tree, you start to lose a little bit of value on the Horn of Fury because, again, you do get 150 rage 2 turns every skill cycle because every time you cast a skill, Rejuvenate gives you 150 rage on that turn, which is 1 turn with Rejuvenate. You skip a turn, and then you get another turn with Rejuvenate. Technically, if you want the most damage pumped out, Horn of Fury is the way you want to go. However, min-maxing a little bit, I would say maybe you go Kerouac's War Drums. Not only are you still going to get that 50 rage benefit, but you're also going to give 2 other marches nearby, which is your marches, 50 rage as well. And when you have a few of those Kerouac's War Drums stacked up on a lot of your marches, you're going to start seeing 50, 100, 150 randomly rage getting given to multiple ones of your marches, and that can help you generate more damage over the course of your fights. So something to think about there as an option there. Again, the other options are going to be Mora's Web. You can certainly do a coin, although I wouldn't recommend it because that coin gets washed out by all of the shields that you're casting on your Scipio and on your Alex. The other options you can do, certainly from an epic standpoint, Silent Trial, Delane's Amulet, those are solid options if you don't have another legendary. Also, again, a dagger would go very well here. A dagger with an additional health debuff on top of what Scipio does from an AoE standpoint would be very, very strong. My recommended setup, though, would be Ring and Kerouac's War Drums. And then again, if you don't want to do Kerouac's War Drums, the dagger or Mora's would be perfectly fine. Those would be my 2 best sets. So to quickly summarize the benefits of this march, what are you getting with this thing after we just went through all of that? Well, one, it's a very tanky march. You've got those shields that we just talked about. You're pumping those shields out once you get going on that march every 3 to 4 seconds. So you will constantly have a shield on, at least going from the benefits of the shield standpoint. And then certainly from a damage mitigation standpoint, at least 1 or 2 turns out of those cycles will be completely free of damage for you because of how much damage mitigation the damage factor shield is doing. Plus, all of the damage you're mitigating on your other marches in your murder ball, very, very strong. The tankiness is definitely there. You also have speed. Look at this really quickly. I'll go ahead and click gather here. We'll go ahead and bring the march out. Look how quick this goes. This is an infantry march, guys. This is also not max tech on swift marching and KVK right now. That is super quick for an infantry march. If you want to give it a little bit of a contrast, let's do just your standard cav march. We'll do, no, that's the super fast march. We'll do Attila Takeda. And as you can see, I mean, it's pretty similar. It's pretty darn similar as far as speed goes. That's Attila Takeda with movement speed bonuses on Attila and Takeda, and that's it. I mean, that's pretty strong. In my opinion, that's very strong with how quick that Scipio and Herald march is. The other benefit I think really to talk about is the fact that this march has both short and long-term damage combinations. So again, with Alex having his instant proc damage going out, you can have that damage going out instantly, which again, in a murder ball or a small skirmish standpoint, you want to have damage as quickly as possible because you don't necessarily get 10, 15, 20 seconds of consistent battle to really get your skills going off in a good cycle. So having as much early damage as possible on any of your marches is a good thing. But again, if you are in that situation where you do have the ability to start really fighting long term, not having to disengage, and you're getting to start pushing your troops against your enemy in a consistent way, this march does pump out quite a few damage with Scipio's AoE, with Scipio's damage over time skill, which goes off all the time, and then also Alex itself having his instant proc skill go off randomly throughout, just shooting out 15, 17,000 skill damage at random, and it happens on big chunks in certain areas to where you start to pump out some serious damage all at once. Burst ability is definitely there. Also, we talked about it a little bit where, again, he's very versatile. You can use him in different modes into the game. Murder Ball, Canyon, Arc, certainly in a small skirmish situation. You can certainly do it in Champions of Olympia as well. Very strong march there as well, because you have 3 marches that you're working with, and you've got an AoE 3-march shield. So it works out great there too. And again, lastly, kind of in a pinch for smaller kingdom players, you can use this as a rally, and I think you would do very, very well. You won't necessarily cause all the severely wounded that you might be looking to do, but you'll at least kill the city because you're pumping out so much damage. You've got tons of damage mitigation, so you are going to be able to keep your rally up longer. And as far as tankiness, you know, there is some tankiness to this, obviously, with the shields and things like that. Not a whole lot of counterattack damage, but you understand what I'm saying. Your rally will stay up for a very long time with this pairing combination. Now, what are some of the shortcomings of this march? Now, I could really only think of 2, and if you have any more, throw them in the comment section below. I'd love to hear what you guys think about this build, this army build, I guess is what you would call it, but then also any additions that you guys want to make to this. This is a community channel. So the only 2 things I could think of were actually detracting from other pairings that we know and love on this channel. Obviously, Guan Scipio has been the recommendation since Scipio has come out on this channel because Scipio's expertise takes full advantage of Guan throwing his AoE silence out first. And you can have them separated, but the only way to 100% guarantee that you will get that expertise on Scipio proccing every single time is to have him behind Guan in the same march. This negates that ability, and you're going to have to kind of understand that that expertise piece of Scipio, you'll only be able to use, it'll only be effective maybe half the time. It's kind of the way I would say it. I think that's probably being a little generous. It might even be less than that, but that's kind of where we're at with that. The other thing is, with Alex, that takes away one of my favorite marches in the game, Alex Herald. That's one of the best marches in the game, in my opinion. But when I've been going through this is kind of a different version of Alex Herald, if you think about it. Not only are you getting the benefits of the tankiness from the shields going out, being this is a shield thrower build, but Scipio has a proccable 10% chance skill that does a lot of damage over time. And again, it's basically what you're casting with Alex, just over 3 seconds, not all at the same time. So this is, in a way, a little bit of a hybrid Alex Herald build with a ton more survivability, a ton of tankiness, and a ton of group value, throwing out all of those shields for your marches. And if all of your marches are dead, all of your allies' marches will receive those benefits still in the meantime. So those are the only 2 shortcomings that I could really find. Because again, if you take Alex away from Herald and you take Scipio away from Guan, well, then you got to go Guan Alex. That's your other pair. But then what do you do with Herald? And then do you have to worry about using Leo? And then, oh my God, let's not get into that. But I hope you guys enjoyed the build here. Again, it's kind of a little fun build that we're going to be continuing to do with other builds in the game that I know that I've used in the past and looking to use in the future. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. And again, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the like button if you enjoyed the video. It's completely free. You can always change your mind later. But I really appreciate you guys joining me today. I'll see you guys next time. Cheers, have a good one, and take care.